So the past few months I've been playing Revelations 1 and 2 a lot because I'm replaying them for the first time in a while, and I forgot how great these games really are because they're so goddamn fun. And you can see the improvement from game to game, and just like, especially like when it comes to the horror aspect and even the combat, you can see how they were improving. And I really just like how Revelations 2 had like more of a horror type of style compared to 1. 1 had a little bit of horror elements, but it's really 2 that like made it like ramp up, and you have that way more of a horror elements. And of course the monsters in Revelations 2 look so goddamn creepy and scary at times. The games are really phenomenal, and one of the things I really loved about is that we were able to play with characters that we haven't played with in a long time, like of course Jill, and then of course in the second one with Claire, and of course we got to play with characters we never got to play as, like Barry, because Revelations 2 let us play as Barry, and that was so cool. I really like what they're doing with the Revelations series, how it's just allowing us to play with some of these female characters that are some of our favorite main characters that we haven't played with in a long time, and also allowing us to play with different characters along with them, just like feeling certain information that leads into the next game, like how Revelations 1 leads into RE5 and how Revelations 2 led into RE6. I just wish they would have continued this series because they could have easily filled in so many gaps in the timeline, and that's why I really want a Revelations 3, because they can fill so many holes and gaps in between the timelines, and they could tell so many different stories that they made another Revelations game. And I know majority of people, when it comes to a Revelations 3, they want Rebecca, and I mean it makes sense for Rebecca mainly because we already did one with Jill and we already did one with Claire, so it makes sense to have Rebecca since Rebecca is like the third female main character, so it makes sense for her. And especially because she's not been in the game in a long ass time. She was in RE0 and then Remake. Those are the only games that she was in, besides, you know, like something like Umbrella Chronicles and stuff like that, but you don't really need to count that because that's just a retelling of stories. But besides that, she really has not showed up in any games, and the only thing we know what she's doing is because of the movies, and for the longest time we didn't know what Rebecca was doing because I think the only thing we really had was like maybe a stage play, maybe some books, and then of course, you know, when she finally appears in the movie that she is in, which I think is Vendetta, and it's like, where's Rebecca at? Why is she not getting any shine? So it would make sense for her to be in a Revelations 3 because majority of people, that's what they think. When it comes to me, I would love to see Rebecca because Rebecca is one of my favorite RE characters. I would love to have her in another game. Like, as you can clearly tell, I got this little sticker right here of Rebecca, so she's one of my favorite characters. So I would love to see Rebecca in another game because she's not been there in a long time, and it'll be fun to play as Rebecca as somebody that's older, because in Zero and Remake she was literally 18, so it would be fun to see her as somebody that's in her 30s, 40s, like how she handles some of these situations that she's in. And it would be really cool to see her older and like adapting some of these situations, just seeing like how her mindset has really changed from like back then. So I think that would be really cool if we did get her. But one of the things I think they could do with the Revelation series is fill in some of them gaps, so like they could have a Revelations maybe 2002 and like, and it follows Ada and Hunk or something. So like there's so many ideas that they could use with Revelations, they can fill in all these gaps, especially because now when it comes to RE7 and RE8, especially at the end of the RE8 DLC, how it kind of just gives off like where exactly are they at on the timeline. I think it would be really cool just to get some more Revelations game that they can sprinkle in between, you know, making remakes and also numbered entries into the series. So I think Revelations would be really good just to fill in some of these gaps in the timelines and just show us what these characters have been doing. And especially like when it comes to now in the timeline, because of Resident Evil 7 and 8, and especially at the end of the 8 DLC, how it looks like maybe they might be way in the future and all the characters would be super old. But then you have something like Death Island where you see all the female characters, they actually still look very young. Like, yes, they're aged up, but at the same time it seems like they're giving off that they're way younger, because especially because if you compare the way Claire looks in Revelations 2 compared to like how she looks in Death Island, she low-key looks way older in Revelations 2, and I mean that's a good thing because, you know, we want them older and looking nice, just saying. But I digress though. One of the cool things they could do with the new Revelations game is bring back some of the characters we've not seen in a long time, and especially the characters that were only in one game, like somebody like Billy, somebody like Sheva. These would be characters that would be cool to play as, and you can have them be alongside certain characters they were not with in their regular games, and that would be something cool that you could see in the series if they ever wanted to do that. And they can go even deeper in their bag if they wanted to and grab some of these characters from side games, and they could also, you know, maybe grab some of the survivors from Outbreak and then maybe put them in a Revelations game. So like there's so many possibilities they could really have when it comes to a Revelations game, when it comes to all the characters that they could use if they wanted to. But it would be amazing if they grab some of these side characters, put them in the game alongside one of these main characters that we've not seen in a while, and I think it would make a really fun game just to see some of these characters. And that's honestly what Revelations should be, is just letting us see all these characters we've not seen in a long time, and then you just put it somewhere in the timeline. Like Billy actually would be really cool to see, because like we don't know anything that happened to him, you know, like 1998, that's it. We only know about what happened in RE0, and then after that we don't know anything else about him. So it would just be cool to see some of these characters that kind of just fade away and disappear like after the end of the game, like once you beat whatever Resident Evil game they're in. But one of the things I do wonder is like how the Revelation series would look in the RE engine. I think it would look really great. So I think think it would be like something cool just to see like what exactly they could do in the RE engine with another Revelations game. You know, they could finally, you know, build upon like all these end credit scenes that we get that never lead anywhere, and like maybe we can learn like what exactly happened with Natalia and then Alex Wesker. Like, is she actually in Natalia's mind? Like, is she controlling Natalia now? So that'd be something cool that they could finally answer, or they could just give us like something new when it comes to Revelations. Like, they could give us Revelations 2009 or something like that, or Revelations something, or they could give us a Revelations game that takes place before RE7, or they can give us one that takes place before RE8, or something that takes place after it. The Revelation series is honestly something that Capcom can make in between making, you know, either remaking games or making new number entries into the series, and just something they could use and, as I said, fill in the gaps of everything. But I really do want another Revelations game, and honestly I would like it with Rebecca, or maybe finally they could give us a game with Ada by giving us a Revelation that takes place way back in the past. I think that would be really cool, but it's just something I just wish they would bring back is the Revelation series, because the first two games were really good, and it just sucks that we didn't get another one, because they are building upon something that just never went anywhere, because, you know, they went to RE7, and I mean RE7 was needed because RE7 is the one that brought us into like this big resurgence of Resident Evil. But now that Resident Evil, you know, is popping and all that, it's like, can we go back to like Revelations and, you know, continue that story and maybe give us a game with Rebecca, or give us a game with Ada or somebody else? Like, you could even give us one with Leon and it could take place maybe in like 2007 or something like that. So like, there's so many time periods they could use, or maybe like 2014, 2015, 2016, 17. There's so many time periods they could just use. I just feel like it's time for a Resident Evil Revelations 3. That way we could finally have a break from like the remakes and then some of the numbered entries. That way Capcom can just build up onto other things and like save some of their numbered entries for a little bit later on. I just feel like it would be a good time just to finally have like a game that's somewhere in the middle. That way they're not just focusing on remakes, because honestly, when it comes to games Capcom could remake, I honestly don't think there's that many that they're going to consider realistically remaking, besides a few. Because like, honestly, Code Veronica, and it seems like they're going to remake RE5 at some point, and then of course a RE1 remake, and then of course Zero, and then you have all these other ones that are big maybes if they ever felt like it, like something like Survivor or Dead Aim, two that I don't think they ever would realistically remake, because I don't think they would see a profit in those two. But who knows, maybe they could. And then also you have like Outbreak and all that, but honestly I don't think they would ever remake those, even though they should remake them. Besides all those games, it's like once they remake those, then you're gonna be getting into like stuff that's already super current, and it's like maybe they might want to remake RE6 at some point in the future, but it's like after that there really wouldn't be that many more games to remake besides just side game. And it would make so much sense for Revelations 3 now, because now they want to be writing themselves into a hole when it comes to just remaking all these games, and they could actually put Revelations there to like separate, and that would just be something different to do besides just, you know, remaking all these games and making all these other number entries. That way they're not writing themselves into a hole. That way they can keep the series fresh instead of just doing remake then numbered entry then remake the number entry. That way it could just be so fresh by just having a Revelations 3, and that way we could play with some of these characters that are just like in older time periods if they wanted to, and just give us all these new refreshing stories that could be taking place at some point in the timeline. It would be something cool to do though. But yeah, but let me know, do you want a Resident Evil Revelations 3? And if you do, what character would you want to be the main character in that series? Either one or two characters. Just let me know. Do you want Rebecca? Do you want Ada? Do you want Hunk? Or do you want some side character? Just let me know. Do you think that the Revelation series needs to come back? Because to me, I think it's a series that does need to come back, because it was a phenomenal series and I like the direction that they were going, and honestly it felt way more unique-ish compared to like something like RE6 and all that. Yes, they had some of the same combat, but there was also some type of things that were different in the series that are honestly things that I wish would come back to the series though. But just let me know, do you guys want a Resident Evil Revelations 3?